What's up, everybody? Just got back from Soda City Comic Con. One of the things that I did while I was there was I sat in on a panel about women in sci-fi, and it was hosted by Arylias Nova, who is the author of the Stories of Ghardar series, which you can learn more about in this interview right here, and also by Stevhan Head from Nerds of the Apocalypse. It's pretty interesting panel. If you're interested in Stephen or Aurelius, links to all their stuff is in the description below. Definitely go check that out. And here's that panel.
I'm Arylias Nova. Everybody calls me Ari because it's shorter and a lot easier to remember. And I am a sci-fi author. I kind of jump genres where I do sci-fi and horror. But I wanted to talk to everybody today about specifically females in sci-fi and about a lot of the stereotypes as not just an author, but a lot of stereotypes that women have in general in sci-fi. Some of the ones that I've personally run into is probably can't write action very well, which is my strongest suit, is action scenes. Or I'm just a face selling for somebody else who actually wrote the book. I actually had somebody ask me and did not believe that I actually wrote my book Spark in my Stories of Ghardar series. They just thought that I was like, oh, people. Which is really irritating, especially as a female, because you already kind of like at a disadvantage in the area of sci-fi, but then to have people say that kind of stuff. And pretty much like the four biggest stereotypes for women in sci-fi is if you're an author, you write erotica, you write romance novels, you're not good at writing, and it's not going to have a lot of action in the series. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, really quiet real quick.
Yeah. But at the same token, a lot of women authors play into that and are self-perpetuating those stereotypes because they know that it'll sell. They have a group, that they cater to, and you're kind of like typecasting yourself by playing into it instead of writing, which if you love writing that, like by all means, more power to you. But if you're just doing it because it's easier to get into the writing field or it's easier to sell to an audience, that's not staying true to yourself, and you're creating a harder stereotype for other authors to come in and to break through. Like the Mary Shelley with Frankenstein, when she initially put her book out there, she was anonymous because she didn't want people to know that it was a female, because not only were females, not treated the same back then, but because it's a female writer, it's going to be looked at completely differently. But because she did it anonymously and then later came out that she was a female author, that really started to open the door for other people to follow suit. How do you feel about that? Like when you initially meet like a female author, this is Stevhan Head.
I'm with Nerds of the Apocalypse. Apparently I'm famous, according to the flyer. How do I feel about female writers and their books?
Yeah, like what's like your initial impression when you meet one?
Probably get a lot of flack for this. I don't even read the author's name when I pick a book. I just pick it up and say, is this a good book? Does it catch my eye? Does it catch my eye? And honestly, my favorite book, Lost Stars, right now is one of the newer Star Wars ones. It's amazing. Written by a female. Didn't care until I read it, and I was like, oh sweet, look. So it's almost like I don't even see that side of it. But I guess claiming ignorance isn't really a fair thing today about it. But it is fine. It's just it's kind of annoying when people say you can't do that. Oh, did a guy write this? You look back, oh, did a chick write it? It would be nicer to see if people would go into it with that blank slate. It doesn't matter who wrote it. Is this simply good or is it not? And then I read your book, which that was really funny how you introduced it to me. He was like, here, can you read this book? I was like, yeah, I'll read that. It was really good, really descriptive, and it was good. It was a good book. It wasn't really much anything to say. Like, I can't say it was good for a girl. That's not what I would say.
Yeah.
I would say this is simply a good book. I told you if I finish a book, it's good, no matter who wrote it, because I have a very hard time reading. I hope that answered the question.
No, it definitely did, and that's one of like our main points is, you know, the story should be the story, like how you just touched on that. Like you don't really pay attention to, you know, the author being male or female or anything like that. That it's mainly just the story, and if you have a good story, because the words are going to be, you know, in a sense like, you know, gender neutral, because it's just the story, and so, you know, not judging a book literally by its cover, you know, based off of the author is one way to help, you know, stop those stereotypes and, you know, just pay attention to the story. Or, you know, and it's okay, like just because you're a female author doesn't mean that you have to be like the best, you know, female author of all time, but, you know, practicing more of the neutral mentality is a, you know, it's a start. I was just going to touch base on, you know, like a lot of in movies and stuff like that, you typically are going to have the male, you know, hero be the star, you know, say the damsel in distress kind of thing. But lately that is definitely changing, you know, and even going back to movies like Terminator with, you know, Sarah Connor, she didn't have to have a guy in the series, you know, she was very independent, she was capable and not, you know, like, oh, well, it was me, I have to have a male counterpart. The male counterpart helped, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't make or break.
So it's gonna make you curious. Who all has seen Terminator, the first one, Terminator? All right, good. Terminator 2. All right, good. Terminator 3. I apologize on behalf of the writer and director of that movie and all the subject. I'm just kidding. No, like when you saw the dynamic between Reese and Sarah back in Terminator 1, it wasn't like, you know, granted he was sitting back in time to protect Sarah, but it was because she did end up dying and he was just trying to stop that from happening. It wasn't because, oh, she's weak. You obviously saw how she acted. She was tough. And even when he ended up, spoiler alert, and even when he ended up giving his life to save her, it wasn't like she needed, like it just happened to be a situation where that was the option. It wasn't presented as he needed to do that in order to do, you know, for that situation. Now, in Terminator 2, when Arnold Schwarzenegger did it, it's because he was a robot, and that technically wasn't giving him life to save someone.
The full synopsis, well-rounded one. Do you guys like have any questions about like stereotypes, or are you guys have any like specifically the females in the group? Like, do you guys run into different stereotypes in your works or your creative outlets or anything like that?
Has anyone been judged for what they're reading? Like, oh, that's a guy book, why is a girl reading that? Or subsequent, the other way around. Lost Stars is actually marketed as a young adult romance novel. And yes, it is. And it is like this thick. And it's very, very, very good book. So, I mean, I read that. I had no problem walking into Target and reading that up. Is anyone running anything like that? Is anyone now aware of a stereotype? They're like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, you have one?
Well, I'm a Christian Sci-Fi. I'm not like some people don't like that, like too tough. It's like, oh, he's a Christian, but why is he too tough? Why doesn't he let the guy do it? How do you feel about that?
Oh wow! I don't know if everybody heard her. She was saying that she's a Christian sci-fi writer, and people have been complaining about her characters being too tough. And that's a pretty valid point, because sometimes people feel that the female in the books, you know, again, need to be the weaker of the two and not the strong role or things like that. So creating a character where it's just a strong female character, that's awesome. It's your character. First and foremost, it's your character. It's your story. You know, it's your words, and you do what you want to do. But there's nothing wrong with having a strong female. I mean, that's just intimidation, you know, on their side. That's an insecurity on their side of that.
I've actually read I don't know if it was Sci-Fi, but it's called The Watchers, and I think the next one's called The Warriors. And it's actually a Christian novel about this guy who's an assassin, and he ends up getting recruited by this girl who has a special power. She can see visions from God, and she ends up growing into a very strong character in that, and it's because she's like learning from the guy who's a hardened like criminal. He's not criminal. He's a hardened assassin. He was born and made his money in war, and she like one of the biggest strength things to show people's adaptability. She just like picks up on it again and again and again. And there are several times where she saves him because she's just as strong. Now, I think it's pretty important to differentiate between when a character is written weakly or stereotyped against, and then also when that's a mechanic. That's a mechanic of the story. For instance, I don't remember the girl's name in that particular book, but like her power was to see visions from God and to say, "Hey, something's going to happen while you're doing this mission. Watch out for these things," and that made her a very strong role, a very strong character. Then you've got characters like Princess Leia in any Star Wars. She's just, I'll get my hands dirty. That's the way she's written. And honestly, I think Luke is kind of everything he's doing. He's always complaining. But it's just, and there's some that are just like written so they can't do anything. They literally are real. They can't help themselves or anything like that. And that's a main character. I kind of see that as like a problem where everyone's just trying to save her. Does anyone watch anime here? Actually, a couple of y'all do. Who watches Fairy Tail? Yeah. All right. Who thinks? Have you watched the last 3 seasons? I guess what's it? 7, 8, or 6, 7, and 8. Who thinks Lucy's kind of just getting like, all right, stop having not to save her all the time? So it's basically Lucy is this girl with this magic that sometimes it's a key aspect to it, but she's always running into trouble and getting saved. And I think it's an overused plot. Like Lucy can do some damage, but not to always has to come with the power of friendship and save everybody. Friendship and fire, I guess the word should probably come. But my Fairy Tail's great, but then there's some characters that you can just see that's like, she's done cool stuff before. She's done incredibly powerful things. Why is she being made this key mechanic if she has to be weak?
But that's what a lot, people see like the reaction and they like, oh, like, okay, that was a good one, and then we're gonna keep doing it, and then we're gonna keep doing it, and we're still doing it.
What's up, sir?
Yeah, like, in Naruto, Sakura was always being saved, but now she's finally able to defend herself, and she's like one of the legendary Sannin now herself. So I think that's
over shipping, right?
Yep.
It took a whole series.
Yeah, they finally got there, though. They finally got there.
It is good to see that change is happening. We're on the advent of a lot of the female change. You can see it in Marvel, all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's great. Some people have an issue with Black Widow. Why am I drawing a blank on that? Yeah, they're having an issue with her. But that's, like I said, that's a mechanic of her core. Core to her character is what she uses her femininity to become strong. But she's also held her own in the fights. It's not like they're trying to say, oh, this is what women do. No, that's what Black Widow does.
Yeah, there's definitely a big difference between, categorizing everybody into that and then versus, like you said, the mechanics of the character. Because I think there's nothing wrong with having, the male being the stronger, the stronger character, but there's also nothing wrong with having a strong female character. Like it's okay if it caters to the plot. Okay, well, the female needs rescuing, or there is a weak moment in the female, as long as, again, like it's not overdone. Like, and because everybody has those moments, male or female, you're gonna have those moments where that person needs help or uplifting or being rescued or anything like that. I was thinking of I don't know if anybody's ever watched Inuyasha. That used to be like my Inuyasha. But like Kagome, like I used to get so frustrated with Kagome because it was constant like.
Someone kills you back.
Yeah, it's like you can be like this BA, like and like a one-shot wonder, but you're constantly getting trapped or kidnapped or whatever, and there has to be this huge moment where Inuyasha like breaks free and saves you, and it's like, can we just not? Like, can we stop for a minute?
I would like to see an episode of Fairy Tail come out where, or Inuyasha, like Naji goes to try and save her, then all of a sudden she already saved herself. It's like, oh. All right then.
Yeah.
It might sound anticlimactic. You could add something else on at the end and be like, oh, now let's go find this guy together. But it's just, I don't know. Why you gotta do that? Why you gotta do characters like that?
Exactly.
Who has a favorite strong female they have? Okay, we jumped a lot to the side. I want to grab someone from over here. Let's go back over there. Is that okay? Yeah, ma'am, go ahead.
In the back.
Yeah.
Emma Swan from Once Upon a Time.
Yeah. Elaborate. Well, Steve, would you elaborate on Emma Swan from Once Upon a Time?
Emma Swan, she's like, it's like this. I don't have the time to explain it. Emma Swan.
Snow White that can kick butt and she can bounty hunter.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
like-
I was trying to make
Like she just shows up in this fairy tale town and like everybody's like, ooh, and she's like, you know, like
Yeah.
she's hardcore.
I was doing that because his wife makes him watch it.
She doesn't make.
And it comes out.
No, the past season, like she went bad and she went. It was awesome.
Yeah. See?
Oh, spoilers, everybody. I'm sorry if you're watching it on Hulu or something. No, it's good.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah,
That was like
yeah.
in the 90s.
I'm in the middle of doing a Full Metal Alchemist rewatch, so let's go ahead and throw Jamal Armstrong and Izumi Curtis on the pile.
Susan and Bonova from Babylon 5.
Oh, Babylon.
Yeah.
Starbuck and Battlestar Galactica. Well, the new one because it was a female, and then the original was a male. But still, she was awesome.
I would say Clarence Ressa of the main style from Playboy.
Yes, absolutely. Anime. That was a very interesting anime in the block. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a good point. Go ahead. What's up? For Fairy Tale? Sorry, which one? Altier? Urza! I'm sorry, yeah, I have bad hearing. I used to work around big engines. What's up?
The ladies from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
And Urza is one of the strongest ones, so she's all, our friendship over done to that, but what's up?
Ridley from Aliens.
We're
Yeah,
actually
that
going to
was-
talk about that.
Ridley's head.
Oh, good.
Hermione Granger from Harry Potter.
Bam.
Yeah.
Good. Absolutely. Got our whole video game or something. That was another thing I want to talk about. Like, there are also coming up in video games as very strong characters. So, you have one back in the back side for you?
Yeah, 2 from Dark Matter, new series on Sci-Fi.
Yeah,
She's
she's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. I like how they did like the reversal on that one. Oh, and like River Song from Doctor Who. Does anybody watch Doctor Who?
Hi.
Oh yeah, we bring the TARDIS dress. Yeah. Yeah, River Song is probably one of my personal favorites because she is such an active role in the Doctor Who series, and majority of the time she's coming in to be like, oh hey, so don't do this. You know what I mean? Like she actually is playing a key part in the action, in the storyline, in saving the Doctor, or participating in a way that the Doctor gets saved.
And also the lizard from Doctor Who, she's sort of like the military-based one.
Yeah.
It sort of shows like girls can be tough.
No, exactly. Yeah, she's actually a really good example because not only is she an extremely strong character as a female, she's a lizard woman, so we have interspecies, and she's a lesbian, which is,
Catering to everybody, even
yeah.
lizards.
I mean, like, so you that one character is a huge character, and you see her pretty often, but not, not in every episode, but you remember her, and you start to fall in love with her because she is so strong and she's so different, and she pretty much like immortalizes everything for women. Well, in my opinion, I'll just add that as true.
It's not an okay to go have relations with lizards. Pretty sure that's still. But, like I said, we are on the admin of this. You got excited about the lizard comment?
No, I got one. I can't have one.
No. You said you had one. What?
Okay, I got one. I got a question.
Okay.
So I love Rey from The Force Awakens.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on her, like, judgment on the internet of her being a Mary Sue? Do you know what that term means? like
Or what?
a Mary Sue, like a woman that can do everything, like all she could shoot, she could fly. Like I just feel like when it's a man that can do all that, they're like, oh, it's a man, they can do all that, and then when a woman does, like that's a Mary Sue. It just really drove me crazy.
Yeah, like my biggest problem isn't even with like the male versus female. It's anytime you have a character, especially like even like with males, when you have a character that just like knows how to do everything. It's like if you don't have any background context for that, that really gets it for me. But yeah, a lot of people, you know, don't think twice if it's a guy, but then as soon as they see a female, they're like, oh no, well, let's dissect this. And how would
She
you
should have
figure
fixed
out
the ship.
this?
That's not how it works. I'm just kidding.
Just the inaccuracy.
Yeah, exactly. It's
And
like,
use a lightsaber.
yeah, it's like did anybody question Han Solo? It's, he can fly and shoot and
Fix the ship.
speak Wookiee.
Actually, he asked the exact question that I wanted to ask. I haven't seen either Star Wars, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I did read about that exact thing. And from what I've read, the writers made sure that she had a background of like knowledge of like, okay, so she's never, you know, like flown the whatever.
Millennium Falcon? The aluminum Falcon?
Before, but she had every reason, like she had a background, so that it would make sense that she should be able to. Whereas like Luke, you know, meanwhile didn't have any of that. If they were still calling her a Mary Sue, you know, whereas they wouldn't do that for him during the same series. And I would just really like to know your opinions on Mary Sue in general, because they're going to talk about animal stress on the other hand. She was saying too, if you make them, you know, too good, or even if they're perceived as too good, you know, even if they have reason to be good, still give them a very, very serious label. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think that again, like if you have the development for it, you know what I mean, then there should be no reason to be questioning it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a story, so you know things aren't going to be like real life. That's why we have these stories and everything. But yeah, like when people stop and they're like, oh, but you know they fucking ball about a strong female character that can do everything. It's like that's extremely ridiculous, like in my opinion. You know, because if you're not going to do the same thing when you have a male that has no background, no context, he's just, you know, super awesomeness, and you don't question that, you should be questioning it.
So when you write female characters in your stories, do you keep that in mind, like try not to go too far into, you know, very specific characters? Because I know a lot of female writers who actually feel restricted by both the Mary Sue trope and the absolute stress trope.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're trying to walk that fine line in between. You know, and I've seen a lot of characters that call Mary Sue, but they're really not by definition. So how do you as a writer like make sure to you know make your characters balance?
I honestly I just write the characters. I'm not gonna hold back one of my characters because they might be crossing that. Actually, Steve and I were just talking about this. In my second book, one of my readers, my beta readers, just messaged me saying that one of my main characters, Venus, her fighting style is extremely masculine, and she seems extremely powerful when she fights. And it was like, that's just because she's a really good fighter. Like that's just it. You know what I mean? And so I guess that would start to go into that Mary Sue kind of context of, well, why is she so good? You know, but it's just because she's a natural born fighter. That's something that she just comes to. I said that a lot. Naturally, yeah.
But one of the things you'll see if y'all read Spark, which I strongly recommend it, is the way you may read one chapter, because it's kind of written as for different perspectives. You may read one chapter, you're like, well, how did this person even manage this? And then you read the next chapter, you're like, oh, that's how it is. Each chapter is a different person's perspective, basically, on the situation. And so you may get one side, and then you read the next one, and you're like, oh, that's how this person do it. So like she tackles, I feel like, the Mary Sue immediately as it may arise. So that's one of the credits for the relationship. But going back to Star Wars and looking at how these people all of a sudden know how to do stuff. Let's compare two movies with backstory issues. So we have Star Wars Episode 7. Let's go with Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. Who all here reads DC comics? Okay, so y'all probably are going to have an issue watching this movie. How much of you know who Darkseid is? How many of y'all have read anything about the Injustice comics? Not the video game, the comics. Okay, so that's not very many of you. So, but those of you who did raise your hands have all the information you need to actually enjoy this movie. If you didn't, all of a sudden, you're just like, who are all these people? How come they know how to do all this stuff? How come they have access to all these things? What are they talking about? Now, in Star Wars Episode 7, you want to talk about people who all of a sudden know how to do things. Rey's background was in farming giant starships for parts. You think she's not going to know how they work? You know? What's up, Ben?
I have a theory to that. I think Rey's Luke Skywalker's daughter.
Irregardless. Yeah, but it could very well be. We don't know, but still, she has a background in tearing apart ships, so she's going to know how to reverse engineer something. So her knowing how to fix a Falcon, or the Millennium Falcon, is not going to be too difficult. Sorry, YT21. Anyway, being able to fly it.
I just got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I just got a question. How do you find the inspiration to write? Where does inspiration come from?
Actually, for Spark and the Story of Ghardar series, I had a really hard time going to sleep. So I started playing a movie in my head from my favorite superhero power, which has always been electrokinesis. I've always been fascinated by it. But I wanted to make it my own. So then I start playing in my movie dream. And because Ford, the main character, can extend the electrokinesis to manipulate the mind, so that electrical signals in the mind. And then I just kept building on it and creating this movie in my head, and then now I have a 4-part series. And that Stephen actually, I had this guy make this really obnoxious, slick comment, as a pickup line at a Comic-Con event. And it was so gross. I don't know, really young kids. It's not graphic. He just told me he wanted to drink my bath water. And I was like, who says that?
You do? You raise your hand. I'm just kidding.
I'll do it.
You're going on your intro.
All right.
I just wanted you to finish what you were saying.
Absolutely. I'll jump back to it.
And so I was putting together a collection of short stories, and Stephen had said, oh, you should write about that guy that made that comment. And then, boom, I had this inspiration for another horror short story about this guy doing just that.
It was pretty gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the backgrounds. So Rey obviously already has a background in tearing ships apart. She has a background in piloting at least ground vehicles. And obviously when they're running in that particular scene where they board the Falcon, she says, no, that one's a piece of junk. So she has a knowledge of that ship. It's these things you can pick up on that maybe watch it one, maybe 2 times, you'll pick up on it. You can see, okay, she knows how to do that. And it also seems to be common knowledge in the Star Wars universe that if you watch the movies, people know how to pilot other ships. There must be some kind of base knowledge of that things work a certain way. I used to be a helicopter mechanic for the military, and if I used to work on Apaches, but if I jumped in the crew station on the Blackhawk, I could see the general idea, this thing's going to fly with these particular controls. So I assume that's my prior knowledge, that something like that exists in the Star Wars realm as well. About someone getting in class, oh, that's how you fly that. But you don't need that. It's a part of it's fiction.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit unrealistic, but that's part of the beauty of what it is. And there's no reason to limit your characters based on what this reality is expecting from you. Speech. There you go.
No, yeah. Back to the Rey background. But I think that a lot of Rey's background is
For subsequent movies. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're gonna dive into that for the next 2 movies.
But who knows what Luke was flying before he flew an X-Wing?
was flying Skyhopper, right?
Right, exactly. So he's used to flying a small ship through canyons, and he can probably pick up an X-wing. You know, if he's skilled in it, which they always said he was a skilled pilot, he can probably pick up an X-wing. It's not far fetched, you know, to think that he can do that. You have characters in your book that remember that move? I don't think I could describe it. That can pull off these. She's very descriptive when she goes in the comments. You really are like seeing this person do whatever he's doing in the scenes. But he pulls off this move where he like flips this guy over by pulling him like pretty much in between his legs from like a crouching position. It was crazy. But like, so this character was taught these, not taught, but he ended up having to learn these from a wife that she ended up describing. It's like he's on the run for a while. So he learns all these moves and disarm somebody, disable them, and then move on quickly. And he's done that for a certain reason that she'll explain in the book if you read it. I'm really trying to plug it here. But it's like, but she didn't give an extensive knowledge. She just said, oh, I can see where someone can pick that up. So at what point, as us as readers, do we say we'll allow you to do that? We'll allow it to happen, you know? And by allow, I mean I accept that this is
Right. Like, at what point is it
the reality.
vague enough but detailed enough at the same time to have that balance?
That's up to you as a writer where you want to draw that line. Some people obviously can't handle Rey. Some people can't handle Finn. You know, he's a stormtrooper. Why does he know how to fly? Why does he know how to use a TIE fighter? Reading the Star Wars books, as part of their Imperial training, by the way. It's in Lost Stars. Another plug. Yeah. You want to have a question about, something they would like to see happen in the future of writing for females, projects, and such? Yes, ma'am.
I mean, there have been women writing science fiction and fantasy about strong women for the better part of a century. It is like cancer. Just accept it and move on.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of things nowadays that's just past time. Okay, it's old. It's okay. It doesn't hurt you to have one of these female be a strong character.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Don't do it again. I'm just kidding.
Everybody gets it.
Well, I'm a new Star Trek fan. I'm really looking forward to the new series coming out. And in the 60s, the original series, there was a lot of female characters. They were strong, and everybody, it was kind of like
Right.
together. But you could still see the females kind of having a less role. It was progress.
No, right. And now you're getting the
The new series, I think, will kind of push things forward because I feel like there's going to be men and women working together. No one cares.
Oh no, definitely.
It's their job.
Well, like Michelle, the scene where she and Shatner kiss, like that was such. People were like turning their TVs off. Like, no, you're not gonna watch that. We're not gonna see this. Da 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 da. And especially her, back in the 60s and everything, that was a huge step. And she's one of the major ones, at least in my opinion, with Star Trek, that really started pushing that fold of, being a female actress, because even though she was it was like a group, she started taking more of a stronger, not the lead, but she started taking a stronger lead with the character and being in the show. And yeah, even with the new series coming out, that the same character is even more present and even stronger and more interactive with the other characters.
Has anyone seen this dynamic play out in person? Is that a story? Has anyone ever seen it happen? Okay, check it out. So you haven't heard the story yet. I was in advanced individual training while I was at Fort Eustis in Virginia, and there was a lady in my squad named, her last name was Vega. I don't remember her first name, but she was very fit, very athletic, right? So we went to combatives class where everyone gets certified level 1 combatives, and it was pretty much all grappling, kind of Greco-Roman wrestling kind of deal. And she was matched up with my buddy. His name was Joswick, was his last name. Joswick's a big guy. He used to be on a football team when he was in high school. He's a pretty fit guy. And everyone was pretty much betting on Joswick to win. You can already tell by that sentence, he did not win by any stretch of the imagination. She had him in a rear naked chokehold really quick, and then the arm bar even quicker after that. She was just able to maneuver so quickly in doing that kind of stuff. And she just loved combatives. And so you'd say, oh, someone like that must be a lesbian. No, she wasn't. She had a husband back home. It was just really funny to see this guy who was not intentionally being sexist, but kind of just playing into it, and then get his butt kicked by this girl who's also like a foot and a half shorter than him. It was great to see it happen. So and just because of the justice that comes involved with it. Johnson was cool. They were both cool afterwards. We're just like, we didn't see that coming. It was like, exactly. That's almost a beauty. Big is great. She's doing well in the military now. It's just, I don't know. I like to see everyone get their due. Everyone gets their due. So that was one of my favorite situations.
Sorry.
There are other ones we can talk about.
Somebody, Ripley from Alien.
Oh yeah.
That's another huge, she had, co-stars and everything, but it wasn't the damsel in distress. She took the lead. She was, the VA fighting the aliens. And then, even as you see, as the Alien series progresses, when she's like, no, you guys need to listen to me, there's aliens, and they're coming, and going on, and no one's listening to her, and pushing her off to the side, and everybody.
I'm an accountant. I know what better than someone who's been there firsthand and take fire flamethrower to an assault rifle and fight aliens. I don't know many men that way.
Right?
I certainly would. I would be in the ship ready to go.
You guys are late.
It just seems like from what I'm hearing, there seems to be a history of sci-fi pushing the envelope maybe compared to other kinds of genres, and I just think that's really interesting, with diversity and pushing, gender, sexuality, and anything like that. I just think that's really interesting. I kind of wonder why.
No, that's actually a really good point. Is that sci-fi really has? They've been kind of the leaders in doing that. Especially romantic comedies. It's the same dynamic pretty much in every romantic
Think there's
comedy
something
or
specific about the sci-fi genre that makes it fit that?
Freedom. There's a lot of freedom in sci-fi. Because you don't have to live by the rules that the world had, physics. You can bend the rules.
Exactly. You're creating this whole other, realm. Even if it's a modern day thing like X-Men, you know what I mean? It's modern day, it's our times, but they're already pushing the fold, so it's a lot easier to, bring those characters more forward and into that progression.
Yeah. Especially since sci-fi tends to look forward when fantasy genres take backwards.
Yeah.
Typically.
And that's a really interesting point too, is to look into the fantasy and to see the dynamics. Because there are, you do have your fantasies where there's, strong females.
Yeah. No, I don't want to dismiss that.
No, but I would definitely agree that, with that, sci-fi looking forward and fantasy perhaps, looking more towards the back, that you're going to have a more classic role with fantasy versus with sci-fi, breaking the barrier.
We're a minute over.
Okay. So thank you guys again for coming out and listening. And if you have any other questions, we can mingle outside of the room so we don't
The
take over.
Apocalypse panel is back that way in the movie area, press area. And she's got her table and the vendors off.
Yes.
So if you go ask, we'll have a conversation. Sorry, if you want to ask a question, you can't.